Hi guys, we're Lead by Example podcast. We just want to clarify before the podcast starts that we are not an authority on any of the topics we discuss. We just want to start an open conversation.
So please feel free to interact in the comments, and if you enjoy the video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you. Hi guys and welcome back. Oh, I'm slightly off centre. Hi guys and welcome back to Lead by Example. Guys, this episode is going to be us talking about mental health. We have always been really big advocates on acknowledging when you need help, and we just want to discuss a little bit about our experience, I guess. And yeah, this conversation is triggered by opinions that we've experienced, that we've heard, we've come across, and we just think it's definitely a topic that we should be doing more discussing and yeah, so hopefully you enjoy, and if you like it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel if you want.
I guess the reason we wanted to talk about this is, oh, my email has just popped up. Sorry, let me just check this. One moment. I have a very important life feeling. Deliveroo has sent me 3 emails today.
Quick, I must get back to them.
Oh dear. No, yeah, I guess kind of the reason we wanted to speak about this is because it's something that we think is like very stigmatized, and the kind of misunderstood, I guess. How people assume that everyone's jumping on a bandwagon when it comes to mental health, and that issues aren't as serious as people talking about them make them out to be. So we just kind of wanted to clear some of the air around that and talk about certain opinions that we'd heard and what our responses to them might be.
Yeah. Let's start off with the broad idea that mental health is over talked about and overhyped, and it's not, like, it might be serious, but it's not as widespread as it seems to be. And yeah, I think, like, I've come across quite a few people who are of the opinion that talking about it, like, makes it more of a thing. And yeah, and it's a bandwagon, like, it's a trend, it's a fashion. What were you gonna say?
I think the thing, like, for me, that is, like, important for people to understand is that everyone has mental health. The mental health is existent in anyone, and we all go through ups and downs with it, and we've all had times when when we've struggled mentally with certain things. And I think that people assume that if they've had a dip in their mental health and they've bounced back from it, then that dip is as bad as it gets, because that's as bad as it's got for them. And they can't seem to empathise with the fact that it differs for every single person, and that your life experiences contribute to it, and your upbringing contributes to it, and there's so many factors that affect this, concept of mental health.
And also none of that also can affect it. Like, you can also have difficulty with your mental health having had no issues or, like, no problems with that kind of stuff.
Right. And
yeah, people seem to think that you either have it or you don't. Like, you either have issues or you don't. And so if someone like has a a bad day, or like has a like a period of time where they've had more anxiety, that means that they are an anxious person. They have anxiety all the time. And yeah, it's again like that whole putting people in a box and being like, okay, there's not a spectrum, it's just like black or white, like you have this or you don't have this.
Yeah. And I guess it's the same as like physical health, isn't it? Like you can live your life as a relatively healthy person and, you know, go through spells where you've gone through hard times, and then there's people that have, you know, chronic disorders and pain or disabilities, and they exist in the same space, and we don't deny them that they've got, you know, harm to their body or physical pain. I mean, to a certain extent we agree, but unless it's, you know, invisible, in which case not there. But that's a totally different topic. So I mean, I guess it's a similar topic because it's like invisible illnesses aren't given credit, aren't taken seriously. And, you know, your mental health is just as much a part of your health as any other part of your body.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, let's talk about the common misconception that mental health issues like anxiety and depression are sometimes a figment of our imagination, and that people can be quite easily influenced by hearing about it a lot, or by someone else possibly talking about their own experience, or someone else talking about their symptoms, and then like being able to convince ourselves that we might have that issue.
Right.
Now, first of all, I just want to say, like, we are aware, like, I think everyone is aware that there is obviously a very, very small minority of people who would, like, convince themselves that there is something wrong with them. But that in itself is something that's probably medically diagnosable. Like, I swear there's a type of issue where you can, like, is it hypochondriac, where you just like diagnose yourself with everything? I think it's hypochondriac. It's like where you like read symptoms and you're like, I've got cancer. And you just convince yourself with stuff like that. Like you like if someone coughs, you're like, oh my god, they got COVID. Well, I mean, I feel like everyone's like that at the moment. But yes, there's a small minority of people who actually do have a tendency to think like that. But that's like saying
false accusations.
That's just like exactly, false accusations, exactly. That's just such a small minority in the pool of people who actually have serious mental health issues.
And from my perspective, it's like who am I to diagnose whether somebody does or doesn't truly have a mental health disorder? If someone's telling me that they're struggling with anxiety or depression, I'm going to take their word for it, because like that doesn't affect me. That's not my place to say no, don't. This is what it looks like. It doesn't look the same for everyone. It's a very personal experience for anyone going through it. So no one, you know, unless you're a qualified mental health nurse, you're not qualified to make those decisions about whether people are or are not telling the truth. And even if they're not suffering with it as severely as they say they are, like you say, even people that aren't suffering with it are probably think they are, and probably truly believe that there's you know, a problem there. And that in itself should be listened to, and it doesn't invalidate the pain that they're feeling just because they're not feeling it on the same level as other people. So yeah. Yes, and it's not even just mental health that this happens with. It's like any sort of area of, like you gave the example earlier about how that's how people used to think about being
Yes.
Is that right? It's
Yeah,
not,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not so
Being
much
gay.
about talking about it means you catch it, but
Seeing it.
people think that, like, oh, more and more people are, like, gay now. What's that about? When actually it's not more people are gay. There's just A, more people on the planet, and B, people are more free to talk about it and be themselves about it.
Yeah, exactly. It is the same thing, and it is the same thing as, like, if you are talking about it, people will be able to identify with that. If no one says what, like, something is, like, if no one talks about symptoms, you know, when you have something wrong with you, you Google your symptoms, and then suddenly it actually turns out you do have that thing, then
Yeah.
but
and
if you never
finally
had that opportunity,
what you're feeling. Yeah.
But it is, like, obviously I think we're both advocates of talking about things, representation mattering, and I think we're very much underestimating the power of the human brain then if we think that, oh, you're just, like, you can't think autonomously. If you're asked a question, you're just going to say yes. Like, you're not a toddler. I mean, people should understand what mental health is.
And regardless of whether people talk about it or don't, they're still experiencing those things. It's just giving them the space and the vocabulary and the means of which to talk about it. And the talking about it process is part of somebody's journey into understanding themselves and being able to address it in a healthy way. So it's not just talking about it in a weird braggy / I've got it worse than you way. It's talking about it because it's an issue, just as you would talk about any issue that you had with, at work or something. Like, if you had an argument with a friend, you talk to your mum about it, or you talk to someone about it, and it helps you process it and rationalise, and you hear other people's opinions, and you get a more well-rounded understanding of it. Whereas I think the thing with mental health, which is so important, is that when you don't talk about it, you're only left with your own thoughts, and if you're in a negative space, you're left with your negative thoughts, and you can convince yourselves of things that aren't true about yourself, and sometimes you need an outside opinion of rationalization to kickstart you being able to get out of that space, which is why therapy is important.
Good point. Shall we talk about it's okay not to be okay? So obviously one way that people find it is, like, a good way to cope with difficulties with your mental health is talking about it, acknowledging it, and be, like, almost being comfortable, or comfortable isn't the word, because that's, like, almost like enjoying it, but at least just being content or happy, like, being okay with
Not
being okay. Damn it.
Acknowledging and understanding that it's valid to be in a space that you don't feel good and you don't feel okay with life at the moment, and knowing that that's not a reflection on you as a person, and that doesn't mean there's something wrong with you, or you have to fix it immediately, or you're tearing everyone else down around you. Because that's not the case. And kind of sitting with that and knowing that it's important for, like, people to understand that.
Yeah. So that's I don't know, is it like a campaign or is it just a hashtag? I don't know, because I see it on Twitter all the time. But that's something that has, like, increased in popularity. I hate talking about stuff like that, but it's true. It's increased in popularity because people have been talking about it and acknowledging that, yeah, it's okay not to be okay, a point was brought to my attention that, I mean, it was more of a question: is it an adequate solution for dealing with mental health? Because if you're saying it's okay not to be okay, does that mean that you aren't dealing with the issue at hand? Does that mean that you're just sitting in your difficulty and not actually trying to help yourself?
I don't think that's really kind of what the point of that is. I think it's more the validation of someone's feelings and the kind of acknowledging a person for who they are. I guess it's kind of like the first step on the ladder to be like, okay, you're allowed to acknowledge this, and it's not, you know, it doesn't need to be a massive, big, scary thing to acknowledge that something's wrong, and it's okay if something is wrong, because, you know, that's important to know, important to reflect on in yourself. And I think that's, yeah, it's like the first step into then getting help, or then talking about it and then getting help, or, you know, whatever the next step is. You can't address something if you're not acknowledging that it's there, and or even acknowledging that it's there but being ashamed of it. Then it's getting rid of the shame aspect of the problem.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think anyone is happy to sit in the problems that they're experiencing. I don't think anyone's like, okay, I'll just be depressed.
Yeah,
then.
nobody wants to, you know, it's not it's not like a choice that people make. Like, yes, you know, you know, I've got these issues and I like it, and I'm gonna stay here because it's okay not to be okay. Like, no, that's not that's not the message behind it. I don't think really. Stigmatization is just such a weird and toxic thing that exists. Like, I think because we're such social creatures and we care a lot about how we're perceived, and so shame is such a divisive concept that is used to kind of shun people into keeping quiet, and because out of fear of, you know, getting in the way of somebody else's life, or just, you know, being a hindrance to somebody.
Yeah.
And it just kind of rips people apart and you know, pulls them deeper and deeper into, you know, their own issues.
I think also we as human beings need to leave a little space for us to learn and like us to listen. We are so fast to be like, you see it when older people are like, oh, well, I have so much wisdom, I have so much to offer you, I have so much experience in life. And I personally find that those people equally then have huge difficulty listening to younger people, just for the simple fact that they're younger.
I think the second that you assume dominance or wisdom or superiority over somebody, you're then at risk of A, missing out on an opportunity to learn something, and B, severely harming somebody, because whether it's conscious or unconscious, I'm not saying people go around assuming they're better than people consciously. Some people do, but like generally speaking, it's often an unconscious thing. But you then really lose the opportunity, I guess, to listen and learn.
We learn so much in our lives. Like, we're constantly learning new things. If you stop being open to learning, then you're stagnant, aren't you? You're just going to go backwards.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of what I guess is an important step about what needs to happen going forward, which doesn't yet really exist, is that there needs to be an acknowledgement and an understanding of when it's time to listen, and people knowing when to listen and when to speak, and, you know, judging that and being, I don't know, learning when to say what you want to say and when to just listen.
Unless you are a psychologist or a mental health therapist, you probably don't have the tools to diagnose someone. And so don't even try.
Yeah.
And unless someone's asking you to diagnose them, why would you interfere? And
So thanks for watching again. I guess kind of the main messages we wanted to put out there today is to just listen to people and don't make assumptions based on what you think is true or not. Like, take people's word, like, give people credit and take their word for things. And if somebody's coming to you with an issue or talking about an issue on TV or on Instagram or somewhere, just give them a little grace and, you know, take their word for it and show some compassion. Like, we're not all professionals. If you're a professional, then obviously do your thing. But yeah, and open conversations. If you think people are struggling, if somebody in your life, you know, has dropped off the map, or, you know, if you think there might be a problem, then reach out to people. Don't assume everyone's fine. It's weird times.
And also,
now, so.
no, I interrupted you.
No,
It's okay.
I was done.
And also, if someone does reach out to you, it's not necessarily your responsibility to find a solution for them. Sometimes just listen. They might just be wanting to talk to someone about something. I know, like, in my case, I tend to just want to talk things through with people, and I don't necessarily need a solution. So sometimes the best friend that you can be is just a good listener.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.